You're about to witness disturbing footage that will make you think twice about visiting the beach alone. I repeat, you should never be alone at the beach. A dolphin with no eyes, to giant sea creatures, and possibly a woolly mammoth all washing up on different shores. Stay till the end because you're gonna witness a mysterious creature you probably haven't seen before. There's a beach in Bremen, Maine, where a strange blob washed up on shores. The blob appeared to be the carcass of an unidentified sea creature, and fishermen had to call the authorities because they didn't have a clue what it was. The blob appeared to be 26 feet long, and about the size of two small vehicles arranged in a straight line, and it gave off a terrible smell that made it difficult to approach. Most people considered the blob to be a whale, citing its size and extremely wide mouth, but it turns out it wasn't a whale. Scientists took samples of the blob in hopes to determine its species and nature, and what they found out is that it was a basking shark. Basking sharks are the second largest fish on the entire planet, surpassed only by whale sharks, and somehow it had ended up on Bremen Beach. An adult basking shark can grow up to 40 feet long and weigh as much as 19 tons. And even though the basking sharks are huge and terrifying looking, they're gentle creatures who feed on plankton, detritus, and other small sea creatures. Speaking of small creatures, there's a beach where a walking starfish was found. Now I know what you're thinking, I've seen starfish walk before, I've seen Suicide Squad, and you're right, we all grew up seeing Patrick on SpongeBob, so the concept of how starfish move aren't strange to us. Or is it? Contrary to what you've seen, starfishes don't walk on 2 feet or fly to your face in hopes to control your mind. No, their movements are a lot more nuanced and slow. This particular starfish had 9 arms, a lot more than we're accustomed to, and it moved around with the help of what seemed like a million tiny feet at the edge of each arm. I don't know how it's able to find coordination with that many arms, but it finds a way. Now, it's extremely strange and rare to see a starfish walking on the beach. What's even more rare is seeing 1,000 starfish washing up on the beach. This happened on Mablethorpe Beach in Lincolnshire, where after a huge storm, tens of thousands of starfishes washed up on its shores. Imagine going to your regular beach for some fun, only to find thousands of starfishes covering the beach floor like a carpet. Sadly, they were all dead and lifeless, and the explanation of how they all got washed up on shore isn't clear. And if you think that's bad, wait till you see the fish with fur. The last thing you're expecting to see when you visit the beach is popcorn, unless it's a circus beach or a beach where there's a vendor selling it. But for the most part, you don't expect to see popcorn on your beach, right? Now, imagine popcorn covering the entire beach, like some substitute for the sand. A beach where you could just go up and scoop some up and eat your fill. Well, that's exactly what you'll get on a beach in Fuerteventura, called the Popcorn Beach. Although I don't recommend eating the popcorn because, despite its looks, it's not really a theater snack. The Popcorn Beach, although bearing the name, is not actually covered in real popcorn, but rather fossilized white algae called rhodoliths. The rhodoliths look a lot like popcorn, and they get their shape after getting pushed ashore. Initially, they're connected like molecules, but due to the current and waves, they break into a million pieces. So here's the million-dollar question. Are they edible? Sadly, no. They're really just coral, so they're hard as rocks, and you can't eat them even if you wanted to. In December, the beaches in the area of La Manga del Mar Menor were suddenly covered in thousands of dead jellyfish. The jellyfishes were part of the Pelagia noctiluca species, which are not the largest of jellyfishes. What's even worse is that even though all the jellyfish were dead, they still had the potential to sting people, to the point that some people even had to visit the hospital after being vigorously stung. They are fairly common in the waters of these parts, but the locals reported that they hadn't seen this many jellyfish wash up ashore in 40 years, and they wondered what could have caused this many to suddenly appear. The jellyfish were washed ashore due to an intense storm that pillaged the seas at the time, and thanks to their relatively small size and weight, they stood no chance against the high currents. Their appearance on the beach caused a bit of contempt to the beachgoers, who were forced to go back home after the beach was closed down for safety reasons. Now, when you think about dolphins, you think about these large, majestic, intelligent creatures that shoot out of the sea whenever they feel like it, and you would be right. But every iteration or imagination of dolphins you've ever had, did you ever imagine a dolphin without eyes? Well, hold on to your hats, because that's exactly what washed up on the beach of Destiladeras in Mexico. This isn't some dolphin that had its eyes gouged out, or an empty eye socket. No, this one didn't have any eyes or any indication that it ever had any in its entire life. There's just an extremely smooth surface where its eyes were supposed to be. Locals who saw the creature aren't sure that it was a dolphin. It had no flippers or fins. It just had a really long tail, no eyes, and sharp teeth, lying lifeless on the beach shore. Its eyeless feature indicates that it came from deep inside the Pacific Ocean, where there was little to no light. But how it ended up on the beach shore is a mystery to everyone. And it wouldn't be the last time that dolphins are washing up on shore. In 2021, dozens of dolphins washed up on the shores of Accra, Ghana, all of them dead as a result of an unknown factor, which is something considering dolphins breathe air, and it's not as if they could suffocate on land. The cause of their death remains unknown, and the local scientists didn't really get the chance to study or ascertain the cause of death, because the locals rushed to the beach and collected their fill of the dolphin carcass to use for food in their homes. This isn't particularly wise because they didn't really know the cause of death, and they were warned not to eat the meat, but it didn't stop them from making some delicious dolphin barbecue. Everyone thinks that fishes do all their business underwater. They eat, live, and die underwater, mostly. But some brave fishes actually thought it was best, sometime in their evolutionary development, to breed outside of water. The grunions are a popular fish that are found in the waters around California. Like most fishes, they are oviparous, meaning they lay their eggs and the eggs develop outside of their body. But the thing is, they don't lay eggs in the water. Instead, they lay eggs on the beach sand. This is kind of tricky, because grunions don't breathe air, yet they have to lay their eggs outside water. And in addition, they have to lay their eggs a good length away from tides, otherwise they get washed into the ocean. And they can't go too far, or they'll have a hard time returning to the sea. It's all about finding the sweet spot for the grunions. What's even weirder is that they lay eggs according to the phases of the moon. They also have to dig into the side and bury their eggs within. Then the males go to fertilize the egg, and in a few weeks the eggs hatch and the hatchlings return to the sea. But the amazing thing is, when you walk into your beach on a full moon and you see thousands of grunions all mating on your beach, it's quite a spectacle. Now, this one is just scary to think about. Honestly, we're not even sure that this is real, but seeing that the New York Post actually made an article about it, we're forced to report on this. A mysterious creature washed up on the beach in Siberia. The creature was about 3 times the size of a man, with no discernible face and completely covered in fur. I don't know if you're familiar with sea creatures, but there are not a lot of them of this size that actually have fur. Most people confess that it looked like the remains of a woolly mammoth, an ancestor to the modern-day elephant that lived thousands of years ago, but is now extinct. It's actually not the first time that a woolly mammoth has been discovered in Siberia, but it's the first time that something that looks very much like one washed up on the beach. Some say that it's just a whale, but seeing that whales don't usually have fur, and only the humpback whale has been famously known to have a little bit of hair, it's not very likely. But Sergei Kornev, a marine biologist, said that the creature underwent all sorts of transformations under the sea, hence the fur, and he strongly suggested that this was a whale. The reason we can't see a discernible face is because that it's only part of a whale and not the whole thing. You've seen the basking shark, the walking starfish, the popcorn beach, the eyeless dolphins, and the possible woolly mammoth situation. It all shows that the ocean is still far too mysterious, and there's still so much going on in there that we don't know about. Perhaps we've made some of you scared and curious about what you might see the next time you're at the beach. As a way to reduce fear, you should be reminded that the beach can also be a fun place if you bring a companion.